Good morning. There comes a time in life when we find ourselves standing face to face with trials that seem bigger than we are. The kind of battles that drain our strength, cloud our vision, and whisper doubts into the very core of who we are. But I want to remind you today, you were never meant to fight every battle alone. Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And I believe that. But there's another layer to this truth, a deeper power that backs your belief, that fortifies your vision, fights the unseen battles when your strength runs dry. That power is God. There are moments in life when the weight you carry feels too heavy, when the mountain ahead looks too steep, and the battle inside you rages louder than anything around. It's in those moments when everything in you wants to give up, you need to remember one simple truth. You are not alone in the fight. The challenges you face, the disappointments that knock the wind out of you, the nights you spend wrestling with doubt and fear, none of those things mean you're abandoned. They're part of the process. They're part of the shaping, the preparation, and the story being written with your life. And though you may feel surrounded by problems, know this. You are also surrounded by purpose, by grace, and by divine power that works even when you can't see it. Strength doesn't always look like doing it all alone. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is lift your hands and say, God, I can't, but I know you can. But I know you can because there are battles designed to show you the power of letting God. Letting God. Napoleon Hill spoke of the power of the mind, the ability to shape your reality through focused thought, belief, and persistence. And that's true. You absolutely need a mindset that's locked into your vision. But even Hill's philosophy finds its fullest expression when partnered with faith. When you combine belief in yourself with trust in something greater than yourself, that's when real transformation happens. God never promised we wouldn't face trials. In fact, the presence of trouble doesn't mean the absence of God. It often means he's preparing something greater. And when the fight comes, and it will, you don't have to panic because you're not alone in the ring. There's a force beside you, in front of you, and within you that knows how to win battles you don't even see coming. Think about this. How many times have you worried over something that never came to pass? How many battles have already been won for you without your awareness? That's not coincidence. That's covering. That's grace. That's the quiet strength of a God who goes before you. Sometimes you don't need to swing harder. You need to stand still and let God move. There is power in staying grounded when everything around you wants to shake you. Power in peace, power in prayer, and power in realizing that your identity and outcome aren't tied to your circumstances but to your Creator. Let this sink in. You don't need to prove your strength to deserve help. God's not waiting for you to be perfect. He steps into your life the moment you ask, the second you open your heart. All he asks is that you show up, stay faithful, and trust that his plan is greater than the pressure you're under. When you lean on that truth, it doesn't mean life becomes easy, but it does mean your battles become purposeful. You start to see setbacks as setups, delays as direction, and closed doors as divine redirection. Even in the silence, he's speaking. Even in the stillness, he's working. You may not see it yet, but the battle is already being won on your behalf. Your job is not to carry the whole load. It's to believe, to persevere, and to walk forward even when the path isn't. Because your strength doesn't come from your own effort alone. It comes from knowing that you're backed by something far greater. So if today you're tired, if you feel outmatched by what you're facing, if the weight of your dreams or responsibilities feels too much, pause, breathe, and remind yourself of this truth. You are not alone in this fight. God is with you. He sees what you're going through. He's fighting battles in the background you can't even comprehend. And while you may feel the struggle now, you'll see the victory later. Don't quit. Don't fold. Don't let the enemy trick you into thinking you're by yourself. You're not. You've got the greatest power in the universe fighting for you. Wisdom, humility, and faith. You see, there's nothing wrong with ambition. There's nothing wrong with pushing hard, staying focused, and being determined. In fact, that's necessary. But at some point, you will reach a place where your effort isn't enough, and that's where faith begins. Napoleon Hill taught that success is born from a burning desire, backed by faith and persistence. And yes, success demands action. It demands planning, structure, and consistency. But what happens when you've done all of that and things still don't move? What happens when the opportunities you chase don't respond? When the door you knocked on doesn't open? And when your progress feels like it's stuck in quicksand? That's the moment where you have to shift your mindset, not away from action, but towards surrender. Not surrender as in giving up, but surrender as in trusting the process. Surrendering to the reality that you are not in control of everything. And that's not a limitation, it's a liberation. There's a certain peace that only comes when you've done your best and released the rest. That peace doesn't come from perfection, it comes from perspective. You start to understand that your job is obedience, but the outcome belongs to God. You're not being asked to have all the answers. You're being asked to show up, give your best, and believe that what you sow in faith will return to you in due time. That's not passive. That's powerful. It takes strength to say, I've done my part. Now I trust God to handle what I can't. Too often we wear ourselves out trying to control every detail. We stress over timing. We worry over results. We obsess over making things happen. But life has a way of showing us over and over that control is an illusion. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we begin to live in peace, not pressure. Think about a farmer. He prepares the ground, plants the seed, waters the field, and watches the seasons. He does everything within his power to set up the harvest, but he can't force the rain. He can't control the sun. He can't make the seed grow on his timeline. At some point, he has to trust the natural order and wait. In the same way, you plant your efforts into your dreams. You work with integrity, you show up consistently, and you give it your all. But there will come a moment when you've got to put it in God's hands and trust the unseen. You've got to believe that all your effort is not in vain, even if you don't see immediate results. There's a reason you're not seeing the full picture yet, because sometimes God is still arranging the pieces. Sometimes he's protecting you from something you can't see. Sometimes he's preparing the opportunity to match your level of growth. And sometimes he's just waiting for you to let go and let him step in. Faith doesn't mean you stop working. Faith means you stop worrying while you work. It means you operate with the confidence that what's meant for you won't miss you. It means you know that God can do more in one moment than you can in a lifetime of striving. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop trying to force everything and start trusting, doors begin to open naturally. Peace flows, creativity returns, strength renews, because you're no longer carrying weight you were never meant to hold. So yes, do your part. Show up every day. Be excellent. Be bold. Take initiative. But when you've done all you can, stand firm. Rest. Trust. Know that your hard work combined with divine timing is a force nothing can stop. Because at the end of the day, success isn't just about what you build with your hands. It's about what you trust with your heart. And when you let God take over what you can't control, you invite supernatural favor into natural circumstances. Do your part and then trust him for the rest. That's where peace lives. That's where strength grows. And that's where miracles happen. There's something powerful and freeing that happens when you realize peace is not found in controlling every detail of your life. It's found in trusting the one who already holds it all together. So many of us live in a constant state of anxiety, not because we're weak, but because we're trying to manage things that were never ours to manage in the first place. We're trying to control outcomes, fix people, predict the future, and hold everything together by our own strength. And even when we think we've got it figured out, life reminds us that control is an illusion. Peace isn't the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of trust. It's not about the storm going away. It's about knowing who's in the boat with you. You can't always predict what's coming, but you can prepare your heart to respond with faith rather than fear. And that shift, that inner transformation, begins with letting go of your need to manipulate the outcome and instead learning to rest in the flow of grace. Napoleon Hill taught the importance of definiteness of purpose, and there's no question, being clear and focused on your goals is essential. But what happens when you're clear on your purpose? You're doing everything right, and yet the results just aren't lining up with your expectations. That's when the inner pressure starts building. That's when control creeps in. We start asking, what am I missing? What more can I do? Why isn't it happening yet? But the answer isn't always more doing. Sometimes the answer is more trusting, not passive waiting, but active faith. Not standing still in frustration, but walking forward in peace, even when you don't have all the answers. There's a kind of peace that surpasses understanding. It's the kind that allows you to breathe deeply, even in uncertainty. It's the kind that holds you steady when nothing around you makes sense. That peace doesn't come from knowing the outcome. It comes from knowing the one who is writing your story. And once you internalize that truth, everything changes. Control says, I have to make this happen. Trust says, God is already working on my behalf. Control says, I need to figure this out right now. Trust says, I'll take the next right step and let God handle the rest. Control says, what if it all falls apart? Trust says, even if it does, I know God can rebuild it stronger. Letting go of control doesn't mean letting go of responsibility. It doesn't mean you stop showing up or that you become passive or careless. It simply means you stop trying to force things to happen in your way and in your timing. It means you choose to believe that you don't need to have all the answers to walk in peace. You just need to take the step in front of you and trust that what's meant for you will meet you there. The truth is, real peace is rooted in surrender. And surrender isn't giving up, it's giving over. It's giving over. It's placing the weight of your worry, your plans, your dreams, and your fears into the hands of the one who sees the bigger picture. You don't need to strive to earn that peace. It's already available. You just have to receive it. But to receive it, you've got to loosen your grip. Let God take the pressure off. Let him lift the burden you've been trying to carry on your own. He's not just present in the calm. He's right there in the chaos. And he's not asking you to fix it all. He's asking you to trust that he already has a way through it. So take a breath. Exhale the stress, the control, the fear. Inhale peace, such in faith. You're not behind, you're not forgotten. You're not out of options, you're simply being called to trust deeper, to release the illusion of control, and to walk in peace that doesn't come from knowing the plan. It comes from knowing the planner. So speak your goals, believe in your calling, do the work. But above all, trust the process and trust the one who goes before you. Because when God fights your battles, no enemy can stand, no weapon can prosper, and no delay can deny your destiny. Resistance is uncomfortable. It's frustrating. It can make you question everything, your progress, even your worth. But the truth is, resistance is not always a sign that something is wrong. In fact, more often than not, it's a sign that something powerful is happening. It's a clue that you're getting closer to something meaningful, something life-changing. You don't face resistance in places of comfort. You face it at the edge of growth. Will show up. It's not a punishment. It's not the universe telling you to quit. It's a test, a stretching, a sharpening. Napoleon Hill often emphasized the idea that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. That means when opposition rises, opportunity is not far behind. When you feel the weight pressing in, it may be that your breakthrough is just beyond the pressure. Imagine for a moment a seed underground. Before it ever breaks through the soil, it faces pressure from the dirt, darkness, isolation, and weight. But that pressure isn't there to destroy it. It's there to shape it, to push it upward, to help it grow strong enough to withstand life above the surface. That same principle applies to you. The resistance you're facing could be God's way of preparing you, not punishing you. Sometimes resistance shows up as delays. You've been working hard, staying faithful, doing the right things, but the results just aren't showing. Other times, it comes in the form of doubt, those internal voices that question your qualifications, your calling, your timing, your timing. And sometimes it even shows up as people critics, misunderstandings, rejection, or betrayal. But don't let those things shake you. Don't let them convince you that you're off track. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. The closer you get to destiny, the more resistance tries to block the way. You see, the presence of resistance is often confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. The pressure is proof of your potential. The pain is often part of the process. And just because you feel overwhelmed doesn't mean you're not equipped. It just means you're being called to dig deeper, to lean into your faith more than ever before. So don't misinterpret the opposition. It's not always a sign to turn back. Sometimes it's a sign to push forward, to pray harder, too. To stand taller, to keep showing up even when it's hard. There's breakthrough on the other side of resistance, but you have to endure to reach it. You have to remind yourself that what you're building is worth the fight. So that the dream you carry didn't come from nowhere. It was placed in you for a reason. And if God gave it to you, he'll equip you for it. Every breakthrough story includes a chapter of resistance. That's where character is formed. That's where faith is tested. That's where you grow not just in your success, but in your strength. And often right before things shift in your favor, life will try to convince you to quit. That's when you've got to hold your ground, not because it's easy, but because you've come too far to stop now. You may not see the full picture yet, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Sometimes the greatest progress is invisible. The work being done in your spirit, the discipline being built in your habits, the wisdom being formed through your struggles, that's all preparation. And resistance is part of that refinement. It's part of the shaping that allows you to handle what you've been praying for when it finally arrives. So the next time you face resistance, when doors close, when people walk away, when self-doubt creeps in, don't shrink back. Stand in it. Grow through it. Let it fuel your determination rather than destroy your hope. Tell yourself this must mean I'm close. This must mean something great is on the way. Because that's what faith does. It sees resistance not as the end, but as the sign that the breakthrough is just around the corner. And when you finally walk into that moment, the opportunity, the clarity, the open door, you'll realize that every bit of resistance was worth it. It didn't stop you. It made you. It prepared you for what's next. Faith is more than just a spiritual concept. It's a force, a power that pushes you forward when logic tells you to stop. It's the invisible engine driving every breakthrough, every comeback, every victory that seemed impossible. Faith isn't just a belief in something greater. It's a belief that even when everything around you says it's over, God still says, I'm not done. In a world that constantly demands proof, faith is about walking forward when there is none. It's about building when the foundation isn't visible yet, trusting that it will appear when you need it most. It's about moving before the door opens, knowing that your steps will lead you to the right place, even if it takes longer than expected. Without faith, the fight feels like a burden. But with faith, even the toughest battles become fuel for your growth. Napoleon Hill emphasized belief as the starting point of all achievement. He knew that no success story begins without faith. Faith in your purpose, in your dream, and in your ability to achieve it. But there's a deeper level of faith that transcends even self-belief. Even when I don't believe in myself, I know God still does. That's where real power lives. There will be times when your plan falls. When you run out of ideas, resources, and motivation, that's the point where many people give up. But faith invites you to look beyond your limitations and believe that something greater is working on your behalf. It reminds you that you're not the only one fighting. You've got God beside you, and he's not bound by time, numbers, or circumstances. Faith turns setbacks into setups. It turns delays into preparation. It takes what looks like defeat and transforms it into a stage for victory. But it's not always instant. Faith is often tested in the waiting. That's the hard part, not just believing in what's coming, but holding on when nothing seems to be changing. Faith says, I will keep showing up even when I don't see results yet. I will keep speaking life even when I feel surrounded by loss. I will keep walking because I know God is leading me, even in the dark. Every time you choose faith over fear, you shift your momentum. Every time you trust instead of panic, you build resilience. And every time you lean on God instead of your own limited understanding, you tap into strength beyond what you could ever create on your own. That kind of strength doesn't just get you through the battle. Faith is not blind optimism. It's not pretending everything's perfect when it isn't. It's recognizing the reality of your struggle, but refusing to let it define your outcome. Saying, yes, this is hard. Yes, I'm tired, but no, I'm not quitting. Because you know who's with you. You know who's guiding you. And you know that as long as God is in the fight with you, victory is not just possible, it's promised. There's something unshakable about a person who walks in faith. not because they never fall, but because they never stayed down. They rise again. They trust again. They speak life again. That's the spirit of a champion, not someone who never struggles, but someone who refuses to let the struggle define the ending. If you want to win the battles that matter most, the internal ones, the ones that determine your future, you need faith. Not just on the good days, but especially on the days when everything seems stacked against you. You need the kind of faith that can't be shaken by delay, disappointment, or detours. The kind of faith that declares, God is still working. This is not over. My story is still being written. And when you carry that kind of faith, something shifts. You start to speak differently, think differently, move differently. You begin to walk with confidence, not because everything is perfect, but because your trust is in a perfect God. That faith will carry you when nothing else can. It will fuel your steps when you're exhausted. It will anchor your heart when fear tries to take over. And it will keep you moving forward, step by step, until you reach the very thing you once only prayed for. So no matter what you're facing, don't let go of your faith. Feed it, protect it, speak it out loud, because faith isn't just a part of the journey. It's the fuel that takes you all the way to victory. There's something deeply humbling about walking through a season where everything feels quiet. You're putting in the work, staying faithful, doing what you know is right, and yet the results just haven't shown up. The progress feels invisible. No applause, no confirmation, no obvious signs of break. It can be easy to assume that nothing is happening, that your effort is being wasted, that your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. But that silence, that space where it feels like everything is still, that's where some of the most powerful victories are being formed. Victory doesn't always shout when it arrives. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it moves in the background beneath the surface, far beyond what your eyes can see or your mind can calculate. God often does his best work in hidden places. Seeds grow in the dark. Roots form in silence. Healing begins before the symptoms are gone. Preparation happens in the quiet long before the platform appears. We live in a world that celebrates the visible. We're trained to equate activity with progress, attention with value, visibility with impact. The silence isn't a sign that you failed. It's a setup, a divine pause before the unveiling, a preparation before promotion. And it takes strength to remain steady in it, strength to keep believing, strength to silence your doubts. Strength to keep your hands on the plow, your eyes on the promise, and your heart rooted in truth. You may not hear the sound of victory yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't on the way. Some victories come in whispers, some come wrapped in stillness, but make no mistake, they're coming. And when they do, they'll arrive right on time, exactly how they were meant to, shaped perfectly by everything you endured to get there. So, if you're in a silent season right now, don't lose heart. Don't let the absence of noise make you abandon your mission. God is working even when you can't see it. Your victory is growing roots. It's gaining momentum. And when the time is right, it will speak louder than words ever could.